In a wide-ranging and deeply philosophical conversation, John Vervaeke explores themes surrounding meaning, religion, consciousness, and the nature of human experience. Drawing from his background in cognitive science and philosophy, he shares personal stories and research insights that illuminate the connection between ancient wisdom traditions and contemporary scientific understanding. The discussion delves into how humans relate to transcendence, the meaning crisis in modern culture, altered states of consciousness, and the intersections between technology, cognition, and spirituality. John Vervaeke begins by recounting his upbringing in a fundamentalist Christian environment, describing it as both formative and traumatizing. An early childhood fear, linked to apocalyptic beliefs, set the stage for his later intellectual and spiritual explorations. In his teenage years, exposure to science fiction and Eastern philosophies like Buddhism and Hinduism opened him to alternative mythologies and ways of experiencing transcendence beyond his original religious framework. This shift initiated a personal meaning crisis, characterized by a profound questioning and deconstruction of inherited beliefs. At university, his encounter with Socrates and Platonic philosophy provided a model of spirituality grounded in reason, virtue, and deep reflection, offering a path to integrate transcendence with rationality. However, academic philosophy at that time largely ignored questions of wisdom and meaning, prompting Vervaeke to explore Eastern meditative practices and later cognitive science. The latter, he found, bridged philosophy, psychology, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence into a unified approach addressing wisdom and meaning. Vervaeke discusses the challenges of balancing an academic career with public intellectual work. He describes a tension common in academia between specialized technical inquiry and broader, accessible engagement with the public on meaningful topics. Drawing inspiration from colleagues like Jordan Peterson, Vervaeke has navigated both realms by maintaining academic rigor while cultivating an influential public presence, particularly through courses and online series about meaning, wisdom, and cognitive science. This dual engagement keeps his work honest and grounded, preventing the descent into either guru-like punditry or insular academic obscurity. Central to Vervaeke's recent research is the concept of a cognitive continuum that ranges from basic fluency, the ease of processing information, through insight, flow states, and ultimately mystical experiences. Fluency serves as a heuristic for what is real, as the brain favors information that is easily processed and integrated. Insight occurs as spikes of increased fluency, often cascading into complex problem-solving states. Flow represents sustained insight, activated in challenging, skill-demanding activities like rock climbing or jazz performance, where the self-referential chatter quiets and one experiences unity with the task. The pinnacle on this continuum is mystical experience, described as a transformative state characterized by profound at-oneness with reality, ineffability, and a lasting impact on a person's values and behaviors. Vervaeke situates traditional religious and meditative experiences within this cognitive framework, illustrating how they reflect enhanced relevance realization and adaptive forms of cognition rather than mere illusions. The conversation explores flow's evolutionary purpose as a mechanism for honing cognitive flexibility, problem reframing, and intuition. Flow conditions, such as clear feedback and tightly coupled error signals, optimize implicit learning, pattern recognition without conscious awareness. However, intuition alone can mislead due to spurious correlations, necessitating reflective insight to separate real from illusory patterns. This dynamic interplay between insight and intuition forms the basis for adaptive reasoning, self-correction, and wise action. Mishandling of this process can lead to biases, self-deception, hyper-rationality, or magical thinking. Vervaeke addresses both dangers and potential benefits of AI integration with human cognition. He highlights the risk that current AI and data harvesting practices exploit human attention and cognitive vulnerabilities, promoting irrationality and self-deception by focusing users only on products or outcomes rather than cognitive processes. Conversely, he and collaborators work on developing anti-generalized AI systems, personalized, privacy-preserving assistants tailored to an individual's unique cognitive and emotional patterns. Such systems could help users cultivate emotional foresight, reduce biases, and enhance agency through real-time biometric feedback and personalized interventions. The ethical and existential dimensions of AI are also discussed, including the unsettling phenomenon of digital avatars of deceased loved ones and people developing quasi-religious attachments to AI entities. These trends underscore both the profound human longing for connection and the risks of technological surrogacy, replacing genuine human relationships. Vervaeke elaborates on the reconstructive and predictive nature of human memory, emphasizing that memory's purpose is not factual accuracy, but adaptive foresight. He recounts examples where cherished memories may actually be social learning or confabulations, illustrating human susceptibility to suggestion and the fragility of eyewitness testimony. He then grapples with death and meaning. Contrasting with Ernest Becker and Sheldon Solomon's terror management theory, which posits fear of death as the fundamental human motivator, Vervaeke argues that existential meaning is rooted more broadly in contact with reality. Death is only one aspect of this realness. People often choose death when life loses meaning, signifying that meaninglessness can outweigh survival instincts. Drawing on Buddhist and Stoic traditions, he presents the view that embracing mortality and the finitude of life enhances resonance, flow, and richness of experience. Immortality, by contrast, can be a trap of egoism and disconnection from reality. He shares personal reflections on accepting death's inevitability and the paradox of longing for eternity, a timeless connectedness, rather than immortality, infinite existence. The phenomenon of sensed presence, experiences of an unseen but felt other in moments of crisis or altered consciousness, is explored scientifically and existentially. Vervaeke describes how neuroscientific and cognitive research has documented this third man phenomenon occurring in emergencies, grief, or solitary extreme situations. Such sensed presences are not necessarily spiritual ghosts, but reflect embodied cognitive processes involving body and attentional schemas that generate felt presences. These experiences can provide insights, emotional comfort, or survival cues, illustrating how the brain constructs realities beyond ordinary perception. Dreaming is explained as a form of offline cognition, where the brain generates variations on prior experiences to improve pattern recognition and future preparedness. The wake-sleep algorithm analogy describes how the brain compresses sensory information, then generates novel simulations to test and refine cognitive models. Dreams help balance underfitting, missing real patterns, and overfitting, seeing false patterns, by producing varied scenarios and selecting adaptive insights. REM sleep deprivation impairs animals' ability to respond to dangers, highlighting dreaming's evolutionary value. The conversation touches on phenomena like lucid dreaming and the biochemical role of endogenous DMT, connecting dream experiences to mystical and sensed present states. Vervaeke diagnoses a crisis of meaning in contemporary culture, where traditional wisdom, religious frameworks, and communal practices that historically scaffolded human flourishing have eroded or been rejected. This leaves many spiritual but not religious individuals searching for meaning without reliable structures or role models. He argues that meaning operates across multiple levels, agentic, narrative, and normative, and requires ecologies of practice, embodied wisdom traditions, trusted communities, and ongoing self-correction. Modern individualism and reliance on personal constructs cannot replace these deep functions, leading to widespread loneliness, mental health challenges, and fragile personal meaning-making. He warns against reducing meaning to self-esteem or consumer satisfaction, emphasizing that genuine meaning demands connection to truth, goodness, beauty, and reality. Religion, despite historical failings and contemporary skepticism, is recognized as a system that once integrated wisdom cultivation, self-transcendence, moral responsibility, and communal identity. These functions remain essential for human well-being, but have been fragmented. Vervaeke articulates a vision in which reason, understood not simply as formal logic, but as the capacity for relevance realization and self-correction of self-deception, connects humans to an ultimate reality. This really real serves as the anchor for truth, virtue, and meaning, aligning with the insights of Socrates, Buddhism, and other great traditions. He emphasizes humble rigor, experiential practice, and transformative insight as paths toward engaging with this ultimate reality, which he equates with a form of God. Vervaeke frames consciousness as an essential, multifaceted phenomenon with intertwined aspects: its nature, the qualities it exhibits, its function, what it does, and its transcendental role, prerequisite for knowledge and learning. He proposes that consciousness's primary function is to enable higher-order relevance realization in complex, novel, and ambiguous situations where automatic processes fall short. Working memory and attention serve as higher-level filters that isolate relevant information for adaptive action and learning. The subjective qualities of experience, the qualia, such as the greenness of green, are distinguished into adjectival, specific qualities, and adverbial, the presence, unity, and temporal immediacy of experience. Practices like deep meditation can reveal pure consciousness events, characterized by undifferentiated presence without object-related content. Consciousness operates as the integrative process, enabling agents to manage infinite possible patterns by focusing on relevant ones, to connect selfhood, narrative, and moral normativity, and to participate in shared reality. Humans differ from other animals in extending their cognitive light cone, the range of anticipated events and awareness, and in their capacity for complex self-narratives embedded within community and culture. This enables deep temporal and normative awareness, including the awareness of mortality and self-deception. Language and storytelling allow humans to coordinate as persons who give and receive permissions, make promises, and hold each other accountable based on shared conceptions of truth, goodness, and beauty. Meaning is cultivated at the intersection of biological agency, personal identity, and moral responsibility. Vervaeke critiques modern assumptions, equating reason merely with formal logic, emphasizing instead relevance realization and the cultivation of virtues that allow individuals to navigate complex, ambiguous reality adaptively. The reasonable person standard in law exemplifies this practical rationality based on attention to relevance, self-awareness, and ethical responsibility rather than purely deductive reasoning. Ultimately, the quest for meaning is a quest for connection to ultimate reality or God, understood as the grounding of relevance and meaningful existence. This quest calls for an integrated approach involving wisdom traditions, cognitive science, and personal practice. John Vervaeke directs listeners to his YouTube channel and online platform, The Lectern, where he offers courses on wisdom, cognitive science, religion, and spirituality. He encourages audiences seeking education and transformative engagement to explore these resources for structured, Socratic learning and community.